I'm Lisa Banks.
And I'm Rick Banks.
We are from RBLB Marketing, and we're going to talk today about 3 things to consider when marketing in times like these. So things have changed dramatically, both for consumers as well as companies. And we want to talk through kind of 3 things to consider while you're planning your marketing.
Right. And I think the first thing to consider is if your business has the ability to offer a product or service that maybe isn't directly in your wheelhouse, but is slightly outside, and you can pivot to that, and that's a service or product that people currently need. That's one way of doing it. We work with a local printing shop here in Corvallis called Corvallis Custom, and they started making face masks and selling those as part of their product offerings, and that's been a really benefit both to them from a business perspective, but also it's providing a needed product in the community.
And there's a halo effect from that as well. So once this is all over, they're going to have that added benefit of having helped within the community.
Right. Then the second thing is looking at products and services that maybe were part of your business that weren't maybe at the top of top of what you were marketing. So let's say an example of that would be like telemedicine for physical therapists and psychologists,
really any kind of medicine.
Yeah, any kind of medicine. That's usually not. It's a great product and service, and it's something that a lot of people are taking advantage of now. But it's also a way for those providers to maintain a closeness with their clients without being able to be physically in the same space as them. And that's another way to market or maintain that consumer connection or customer connection without having to deviate too far from your previous services.
Another example is my friend owns an event company called The Main Event, and she has shifted. So obviously in-person events just can't happen right now, but she has shifted to hosting a huge array of online and virtual events, even where they're delivering supplies. So they are kind of covering all the bases so that you can still come together and have an event. So it's a really interesting way to look at services you can offer and how you can change your offering to still work, given our current circumstances. So I think that's a really interesting way to approach.
And the third thing is when you're talking and when you're marketing in this time period, deviating too far from how people perceive your brand or the voice of your brand is a really kind of waters that would not necessarily be easily tread into, just because you can make big mistakes there and damage your brand long term. And you also don't want to be seen as completely inauthentic to how people already perceive you. Some examples of that, Burger King's running a Couch Potatriot campaign right now, which I personally find very funny, and it fits with what I would expect to come from a Burger King brand.
Yeah, they already have a lot of levity with their advertising.
Right. So it's not a dramatic departure from anything that you would have seen from them before or potentially after, but they are, making that commitment to giving some of their proceeds to first responders. So they're both maintaining their brand voice, but also tying in elements of what's happening in the world right now. Businesses and brands that are trying to completely pivot away from how they are known and either being too serious, too overly empathetic, or trying to be a little bit more playful, that may or may not resonate, and it's probably a dangerous place to be walking into.
I think counter to that as well, if you don't change your message at all, it could definitely sound tone deaf. So if you're still in the buy, super aggressive, typical advertising for normal times, that's also going to fall flat, because it's going to come off as very tone deaf.
Right. It's also, a lot of people are still stuck at home and they're seeing a lot of messages all the time. If they're constantly seeing your message and it's all about, an offer or buy now or something like that, it could end up turning people off.
And people have a host of other concerns, and so their consideration set is just completely different than normal.
Yep, exactly.
So just being really hyper aware of what your consumer is going through right now, I think, is imperative.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And those are the top 3 things to consider during these times. We will be back next week with another update. If you have an idea about a topic you would like us to do a deep dive on, send it our way and we will cover it in one of our videos.
Yep. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you. This is RBLB Marketing signing off.